So I've been playing the Witch Queen for the last couple weeks, and you know what guys? It's actually pretty good. Now when both the Witch Queen and Elden Ring launched, I was on vacation out of town, so I got around to playing Witch Queen a little bit later than I wanted, so that's also why this video is coming out a little bit later than I wanted. Also, Elden Ring has been thoroughly addicting, so I've been playing that game as much as I can as well. And I've also been playing lots of Sea of Thieves with my friends because the new season's out, so between work and various other games I've been playing, I just haven't been able to put a whole lot of time into the Witch Queen expansion yet. But that being said, I have been able to beat the campaign on regular, not legendary yet, but I plan on doing that later. I really want to give that a try. I've also spent a fair amount of time doing the post-campaign content like the Wellspring, the Preservation mission, and a few of the other quests. So with all that being said, I'd say I have a pretty good idea of what the end game is going to look like and how the rest of my time with the expansion will be. And I've yet to do the raid, but from what I've seen so far, it looks like it'll be pretty good, and I plan on getting to a proper level to hop in and try it out. Now, like I said, I'm actually really enjoying the Witch Queen so far, and I know that might be shocking to some of my detractors who love to say I'm just blinded by nostalgia because I like Destiny 1, but maybe, just maybe guys, Bungie finally put out a good expansion. Certainly better than Beyond Light and Shadowkeep, and I can say that with full confidence despite not having cleared the raid yet. I think the Witch Queen's story and post-campaign content are just much better quality. I also found Savathun's Throne World to be much more interesting and content-filled than Europa or the Moon, and I'm pretty confident in saying that the Witch Queen so far has a lot more value for your money than the recent expansions. So let's talk about what I like so far, and then at the end we'll discuss a few of the things that I have concerns with. So up first, probably the biggest highlight is the campaign. After last year's disappointing campaign in Beyond Light and Shadowkeep's campaign also falling pretty flat for me the year before that, it feels good to finally have another great campaign comparable in quality to Forsaken and the Taken King. The setup involves events that took place throughout the last year's seasonal content, so if you missed out on that content like I did, then the story may be a little lost to you. However, I think the campaign does a pretty alright job getting you up to speed, so long as you're familiar with the overall story of Destiny. The story doesn't necessarily start off super strong in both gameplay and narrative, but it doesn't take too long to get the ball rolling and really become much more interesting as you try to unravel Savathun's plan and learn how she acquired the light and what she aims to gain with it. Some of the missions, particularly the last two, are amazing and really deliver in both gameplay and narrative. There's some really cool boss fights and epic moments that are definitely highlights in Destiny campaign history, and it really makes sense why everyone is so in love with this campaign. Next, I want to talk about the post-campaign content. First, I'll talk about the two new strikes, which are a very welcome addition to the game. We've been in the need of some new, good strikes for a long time now, and I'd say that both Birthplace of the Vile and the Lightblade are some of the best in the entire game. The Lightblade strike you actually played during the campaign questline, so you'll get to play that one pretty early on. And it has Alakul the Darkblade from Destiny 1, now revived as Alakul the Lightblade, and I think narratively justifies his return in such a badass way. And then we have the Birthplace of the Vile, which has us entering the Dark City with Marasav's direction to revitalize the worm, which eventually will be used to turn into an exotic grenade launcher. Both these strikes are top tier in the franchise and nail it both in atmosphere and storytelling in a way I thought Bungie was either incapable of doing or simply refused to do lately. However, I am more than pleasantly surprised that the two new strikes are easily 10 out of 10s, and I really hope that Bungie continues to focus on giving us high quality strikes in the future. The rest of the post-campaign content is about what you'd expect. It doesn't stand out as particularly unique from a gameplay loop perspective. You have the Wellspring, which is your standard 6-player activity that has you farming for new weapons and armor pieces, very similar to the previous 6-player activities. Altars of Reflection are basically just some more story missions that help you uncover more secrets about Savathun, and I enjoyed those as well. The Preservation mission is a bit of a mini raid-like experience that has puzzles and pretty tough encounters throughout that actually takes place inside various parts of the new raid, and it's definitely another highlight in quality mission design this time around. Another thing I was happy to see is that the loot pool has received a pretty decent update. Unlike with Beyond Light, there's actually a lot of new weapons and armor sets. This is especially good news to me as I love to discover and try out new weapons in the expansions, and then ultimately still infuse them to my favorite older weapons, but hey, I just really love the Ace of Spades, alright? I also went ahead and purchased the new season this year just because I was enjoying Witch Queen so much, and the seasonal content is about par for the course. Again, it doesn't do anything particularly unique or new from a gameplay perspective, but I do like the story and its tie-ins to the Witch Queen, so I'd say I'm at least a little bit more interested in playing the seasonal content this time than I usually am. The weapons and armor in particular also look pretty good, so I think that'll also keep me a little more engaged with the seasonal content. Now these are my thoughts on the positives within just a couple weeks of playtime, and I'm only a level 30 something in the battle pass, but things are definitely looking better this time around compared to the last couple expansions. Now what have I disliked so far? Well, not too many things. The content is actually really good in The Witch Queen, but I'd say that there's a few critiques that I definitely have. One of my critiques is with the dialogue for certain characters in the story, particularly with Finch, Ikora, and Zavala. It's very melodramatic in just cringy ways at times, while simultaneously being a bit adolescent and childish almost. And it's kind of an issue with a lot of the dialogue and story writing in Destiny 2 since its release in 2017. And some of it here in The Witch Queen just stands out as plain bad at times. Again, the overarching story being told with The Witch Queen is really good, and it's got some cool twists and turns, engaging aspects to it, and some of the dialogue is actually fine, but most of it, with certain characters especially, is just... The next one is somewhat of a spoiler, so skip to the time on screen if you don't want to be spoiled. I really didn't like that we killed Savathun in the story campaign. It's really deflating, especially after so much build-up for so many years. I was really hoping that we'd fight her final form in the raid or something like we did with Oryx and the Taken King, but it doesn't look like that's how it's going to happen. There's a chance, I guess, that she isn't completely dead because her ghost did escape, and there may be some kind of plot in a future season where the ghost revives her and we have to kill her again in a raid or dungeon perhaps, and I'd really like to see something like that. Maybe she'll even get revived at some point and become an ally to fight the true darkness, but who knows. The cutscene at the end with the Witness was very intriguing and gives me hope that the game is headed in a pretty wild and interesting direction, and the Witness himself is giving off strong vibes of the early darkness enemy type Bungie had on its early concept art in 2013, which I really appreciate. It's cool to finally see that concept art kind of come to light, and I'd say I'm definitely more excited than I ever have been in Destiny 2 to see where the story is going. Next, PvP continues to be untouched and just awful mostly. No new PvP maps and no new game modes continues to leave PvP in a very stale and dire state, and I think Bungie just needs to throw us a bone. Just do something to PvP. It's awful right now. It's been over 900 days since a new original PvP map was released, and it's just sad what they've done to PvP. It's a fucking wasteland over there, and I probably won't touch that much unless I have to for maybe Iron Banner or something. The few games I did play, just trying to get back into the game again, the meta continues to be ability spamming with no real amount of true gunplay, and one hill I'll definitely die on is that PvP in Destiny 1 is far better than it ever has been in Destiny 2, by a mile. And probably my biggest concern with Destiny 2 and the Witch Queen is the longevity it'll have for myself. I understand that there are hardcore diehards who will continue to play each and every week and each and every season without falter, but with an endgame that feels relatively the same as it has for the last 4 years, I don't see how Witch Queen is going to hold my attention for too long. While some of the new content is definitely better than previous expansions like the campaign content, the strikes, the destination, the gameplay loops, the power level grind, and bounty farming are pretty much the exact same as they've been for 4 years now. And again, I want to reiterate, the content in the Witch Queen is really good so far. But I can already see how the game is likely to fall back into a state of repetitive, endless grinding for just one more point of power level. And I know some people will enjoy that, and that's fine. I just know that I'm definitely not alone in feeling that Destiny 2 has some serious longevity problems that even the seasonal content doesn't fix. Now to wrap up my thoughts, I'll just say this. Witch Queen is a major win for Bungie and Destiny 2. It has all the things you'd expect, even a bit more, but done better than previous expansions. Not in all categories, but enough that it'll probably impress you or hold your attention if you're a fan of the franchise. Now, would I recommend Witch Queen to returning players? I'd say probably yes, but only if you're okay with the exact same gameplay loops that you're used to. The content itself is definitely better than it has been in a while. Would I recommend Witch Queen to new players? Probably not. I just have a hard time recommending Destiny 2 to anybody these days, especially with so much of the story and genuinely great content being vaulted and removed from the game, and who's to say Witch Queen won't be vaulted in a couple years as well. And I think right now there just isn't enough context to get people invested in the game's world at this point, and the vaulting of content that relates so much to the story is just making the game almost impossible to get into now. Maybe not for everyone, but I think for anyone who would like to kind of get fully into it at least. So with all that being said, I'm enjoying the Witch Queen so far, and will continue to make videos on it as long as it holds my attention. But I'm always curious to hear your thoughts in the comments section. I know many of you have left comments about me trying out the expansion and discussing my thoughts in a video with you. So I hope you liked the video, and if you do, be sure to drop a like on it. I'd really appreciate it. But I'd like to thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.